For sure, you can expect every county to have their own rules. So we're going to talk about Virginia today, and just like all the counties, they have their own specialized rules. So if you're going to be in the business, you're going to have to learn the rules for the county that you're going to buy in.
Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome to the video. This, of course, is Ted Thomas, the Tax Lien Certificate and Tax Deed Authority. And today he's going to be discussing Virginia tax deeds, which a lot of people have been asking about. So, hey, Ted, let's dive right into some of the interesting details about tax deeds in Virginia. Now, I've heard that there are two types of tax defaulted sales. Can you explain what those are?
Well, let's do this for ordinary people, okay? Because they have judicial sales, which scares people right away, and then they have non-judicial sales. So let me explain that and keep it super simple. Judicial sale just means there's attorneys and the court system is involved. So if you're going to have a tax auction in Virginia and it's above $50,000, it's going to be over there in that judicial system. All right, so that's going to add a little complexity to the person that's buying in the tax defaulted arena. Now there's going to be non-judicial sales, but they're basically properties are going to be sold by the county treasurer and by the tax collector. They work together, and they're going to be sold, as all properties are, by the tax collector and, of course, the treasurer. So those properties are generally going to be open land, or they're going to be rural lots, but they're basically going to be under $50,000. So it's nothing to be scared of, but as soon as people hear judicial, they say, oh my goodness, what's this all about? So in this particular state, it means the judicial sale will take place in the courtroom, all right, and that's going to take place. Attorneys will be involved and a judge will be involved.
Is there anything unique about Virginia and its 95 counties that the viewer should be aware of?
Well, I think the thing that most people should be concerned about is how many counties there are, how many municipalities there are, and they make a big deal out of that on the Virginia site, and they're talking about it. So let me simplify this whole thing. Every state is going to be separated into counties. The next smallest division is going to be a municipality. So here's what's taking place. We have over 3,000 counties in the United States. They're all separate jurisdictions. That means they can have their own rules. So the only thing you have to be concerned of if you're a buyer is knowing the rules. All right, it's the same thing in municipality. So a municipality, they're a separate jurisdiction, and you just have to know the rules. Now, some municipalities are giant. For example, in the state of Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh has a municipal sale, and it's bigger than the sale in Allegheny County. Allegheny County is a big county surrounding it, but the point is they can be tax defaulted auctions in counties, and they can be in municipalities. That's the difference.
Well, so Ted, what types of properties go up for auction in Virginia?
Well, get ready, because there's every kind of property that you can imagine, all right? So there's going to be single-family homes, there's going to be office buildings, there's going to be rural land. A lot of Virginia is rural rolling land. There's going to be orchards, or there's going to be apple orchards where they're going to have agricultural. They're going to be grazing land where they have grazing land. So every property that you can imagine can be sold at auctions in Virginia.
Well, if somebody watching this is interested in purchasing some of that land in Virginia, Ted, what kind of tips can you give them?
Oh boy, we got to talk about this for a little bit. We got to talk about land, okay? Now, why are we going to talk about land? Because most people don't realize that there's a lot of land auctions. So the average auction, from what I've seen from experience, my experience has shown me about 20% of all the properties that have come up for auction, those are going to be land. All right, so let's learn a little bit about land, okay? Now, there's nothing hidden, but it takes a little while. So most people, if they grew up in an urban area, they know about brokers, and brokers know about a lot here and then a lot next door. Everything's really well defined. Well, with land, you can be out driving your car, driving along at 30 miles an hour, and how do you know how it's divided? It all looks the same. All right, so you've got to be careful when you're an auction buyer. Why do you have to be careful? Because the county is selling property as is. So caveat emptor, that means buyer beware. So if you're going to buy at one of these auctions and you're going to buy land, you're going to have to kind of open up your mind a little bit. And what are you going to have to know about? You're going to have to know about land surveys. Now, what does that mean? What's a land survey? Well, a land survey is done by a surveyor, and they're going to be able to tell you the boundaries of what you're buying. So let's go back to my car example. When you're driving by, you can look out the window. Do you see the boundaries? Do you see it outlined on a lot? No, you don't. So how do you know what you bought? So if you're driving along 30 miles an hour, you don't have any idea. If you're out and walking, you might not know where the boundaries are. So you need to know a little bit about this land. So what do you want to know about land? Well, let's do a couple of things. Does it have water? That's important. All right, does it have drainage? That's also important. What if there ends up as a big puddle? You can't use the land. All right, if you're going to use land for anything, you're going to need power to the land. So where is the power? Is it there at the street? Is it coming in on big power lines? Or maybe it doesn't have power. All right, what about easements? Now, what are easements? Easements means the person next door has an easement to cross that land. So when the land was sold, they sold it with an easement. In other words, they might drive trucks across your land. And you don't want to buy this land that has easements going across it unless you're going to benefit from the easement. All right, what about zoning? All right, so people buy land, they say, well, I'm going to buy this open land. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a house on it in a barn, and I'm going to live like a gentleman farmer. Well, what if it's only agriculture? Or what if it's zoned, it can only be commercial? Or what if it's zoned, it can only be residential properties every 100 and so many feet? The point is, you have to know these things, and you won't know them unless you do accurate research.
Hey, if you're watching this video and you have a question for Ted, just leave it in the comments section below. You will get an answer. And while you're down there, why not give us a thumbs up and maybe hit that bell and subscribe to Ted's channel. Hey, one last thing, Ted, before we leave. It sure would be nice if there was a simple list people had so they knew where and when these auctions were happening.
Well, let's talk about this business. It's a business of abundance. I always talk about that. And the one thing I want everyone to know is there's going to be plenty of properties, whether they're going to be at municipal sales or whether they're going to be at county sales. And you want to know where they are and how they are. Well, what you could do is you could go to the county website. There's 3,000 websites you can find it. You can get them in the newspaper. All right, so if you want to know what's for sale, because that's why you're here, you want to know what tax auction. So what are you going to do? Are you going to get 3,000 newspapers? No. I've devised an auction. So electronically, you can get on that auction site. Electronically, you can move your cursor around. While you're online, you can go from place to place. We're using a cursor and know how many auctions are going to take place in that state, what the different county auctions are going to be. It's all right below me, and you can go there now if you like.
Hit that link right in the description, folks, and take Ted up on this free offer.